presidential politics on this Thanksgiving evening. Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate is about as far culturally from the 17th century Plymouth Rock as you can get. But the Florida resort has become the site of a working holiday for the man who is set to move into an even more impressive digs in January. And the president-elect is still busy trying to figure out who's coming with him to the White House and who he can convince to stay right where they are. Correspondent Peter Doocy is with the team in Palm Beach, Florida tonight. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Doug. Before most American families even turned on their ovens today, the president-elect turned up the heat on an American company, showing that his first post-election holiday would not be spent laying low. Before his Thanksgiving meal, the president-elect was trying to make a deal, tweeting this morning that, quote, "I am working hard, even on Thanksgiving, trying to get Carrier AC Company to stay in the U.S., Indiana. Making progress, will know soon." The air conditioning and refrigeration company that announced a plan to move 1,400 jobs to Mexico earlier this year didn't take long to respond, posting from its account, quote, "Carrier has had discussions with the incoming administration, and we look forward to working together. Nothing to announce at this time." As a candidate, Mr. Trump guessed Carrier would crumble beneath threats of hefty import taxes if they started producing products overseas.
Within 24 hours, they will call and say, "Sir, we've decided to stay in the United States. We'll stay in Indiana," or they'll go someplace else, but they're staying in the United States.
Also on the president-elect's plate today, trying to figure out who will fill critical cabinet posts, like Secretary of State. Top advisor Kellyanne Conway tweeted today that she's been getting a lot of correspondence from Trump loyalists worried about putting Mitt Romney in that job, and linked to a Politico article listing these backers' concerns about Romney's history of attacks on Trump. Then Conway tweeted, quote, "Kissinger and Schultz as secretaries of state flew around the world less, counseled POTUS close to home more, and were loyal. Good checklist." That intriguing tweet follows another confusing day of will he or won't he with Dr. Ben Carson, who says the president-elect wants him in the cabinet as Housing and Urban Development Secretary and is now going out of his way to make sure everyone knows he's not hesitating because he's worried about a lack of relevant experience on his resume.
In terms of complexity, I can guarantee you that very little of it comes close to neurosurgery, and particularly complex neurosurgery. And these things can easily be acquired.
More than 2 weeks after winning the election, Trump acknowledges that not everybody accepts the results, but he's asking for help from people who voted for him and people who didn't in uniting with this Thanksgiving address.
It's my prayer that on this Thanksgiving, we begin to heal our divisions and move forward as one country, strengthened by shared purpose and very, very common resolve. In declaring this national holiday, President Lincoln called upon Americans to speak with one voice and one heart. That's just what we have to do.
More than 40 years ago, Marjorie Merriweather Post, who built Mar-a-Lago behind us, tried to leave it in her will to the federal government to be used someday as a presidential retreat. But it never worked out until this Thanksgiving, where the man who eventually bought it is using it as a president-elect's retreat.